Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host and compere for this evening, Socrates.
Hello there. Hello, how are we doing? Are we well? Are we well? Are we good? Are we well? All right, so you're about to see Cosmic Cat's show, but I'm just here to go over a couple of ground rules before we get going. I'm not sure if my accent's Scottish or Irish, but sure, doesn't matter. What the hell? Oh, look at me, eyes are all twisted around funny. Anyway, so what you need to do is get yourselves sitting comfortably, grab yourselves a drink from your own kitchen, and in the event of a fire, you have full permission to leave and tend to that fire. Cosmic Cat's comedy is pretty good, but it's not to die for. Now, please do make a note of your nearest emergency exit. And this show is free, but if you'd like to make a donation, you can do so via the PayPal link, which is in the chat. Very top of the chat there. All right. Okay then. Now, without further ado, please welcome your act for tonight. It's Cosmic Cat. Hello.
Oh.
Hello, hello, hello. I am just doing a quick rename on my Zoom. It's Cosmic Cat here. And hello, Tony. I'm glad that somebody came.
Hi, Cat.
So, how are you doing, Tony? Are you well?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, good. Good.
You're good?
Yeah.
Cool. Yes, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah.
So, intro's done by Socrates. Yeah, I've never done a show to just one person before, but I'm very glad to have you, Tony, because without you, I would be doing it just to my webcam, like I don't know, like some kind of audition tape. Like, hey, I want to be on Britain's Got Talent.
Well, hopefully more people will join later, or other people will watch the video later, or whatever.
Yeah. People may join later. I'm going to put it up on YouTube afterwards as well. So let's get this show on the road. So welcome. I'm Cosmic Cat. Cosmic because I've always felt like I'm from another planet and I just don't quite fit in on Earth. And Cat, great name for me because I absolutely love cats. Well, it's actually more of an obsession, really. A lurophile, that's what you call a cat lover. And I think I really put the lure into a lurophile because whenever I'm walking down the street and I catch even the slightest hint of a cat in the corner of my eye, I'm right down there on the ground, crouching, trying to lure it over with the time-tested method of and 9 times out of 10 the cat will run away, which pretty much mirrors my experience of trying to make friends with people. So what else can I tell you about me? Okay, bit of a sticky topic to get started off on, but I always said that I wasn't going to be one of those female comedians that talks about menstruation, period. But there is just one thing that I want to address, and that is those little moon cup thingies, the little silicone cups that you like put up inside yourself. Why, you might ask, why would you use one of those? Well, it's better for the environment and it's more cost effective because let's face it, tampons are bloody expensive. There is just one issue that I have with it though, and that is that when I go to empty it, it gives me flashbacks to my Catholic upbringing because I'm like, the blood of Christ. It's not red wine though, not red wine. If only, imagine I could be in a situation, say, at a wedding and everybody be panicking and be like, oh my God, we've run out of red wine. I could just squat down and be like, don't worry, everyone, I've got this. Tell you another thing that is expensive: public transport. Public transport is expensive. Am I right? Am I right, Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Public
on the
transport.
tram in Nottingham last night. And it's
Oh, you
not
got the
cheap.
tram? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tram. That's like the fanciest method of public transport I think you could possibly go on, isn't it? The tram. It's like, it's right up there. But yeah, it is expensive. And the way that I found round this recently is that I've started hitchhiking, and people say to me, oh, Kat, aren't you worried with hitchhiking? Aren't you worried that you're going to end up in some serial killer's boot, your body dismembered, cut up into little pieces, and eventually distributed in some remote moorland? And to that I say no, because when I go hitchhiking, I'm like a spider. And I can see I've lost you. What I mean by that is that as soon as they hear this accent, whoever's picking me up, they're more afraid of me than I am of them. So that's a nice way to segue into the fact that, yes, I am from Northern Ireland, grew up in Northern Ireland. People always ask me, oh, what was it like growing up in Northern Ireland? And to that I say, well, you know, it had its ups and its downs, positives, negatives. Positives were things like beautiful coastline, free prescriptions. Yeah, that's about it. Negatives were things like when I was 7, me and my mum had to be evacuated from our house because this guy accidentally blew himself up with his own petrol bomb. You see, it's not just ISIS who have the monopoly on suicide bombers. We have them in Northern Ireland too, except they're not born out of a desire for martyrdom. They're just incompetent. The ironic thing about that guy, though, was that he had his bomb in a cake tin, and then he did become a martyr. The other side of the town, they painted a mural. They painted a mural of him next to a bakery, and but let me tell you, the cake from that bakery, out of this world, absolutely blew me away. I used to go to that bakery actually every birthday because it was the best cake in town. But because it was in a kind of difficult part of town if you were a Catholic, and my school uniform was basically like having "I am a Catholic" written on your forehead, it was like some kind of Mission Impossible thing when we used to go to get cake. So my mum would drive me, she'd be like, stay in the car, I'll go and get the cake. Dun, 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 dun. I really hope that's the Mission Impossible theme tune. I didn't look that up beforehand, but I really hope that is. It's not
That
like,
sounded like it, yeah, definitely.
it's not just like some like really random random theme tune that has no relevance whatsoever to that reference. So what else can I tell you about growing up in Northern Ireland? Okay, well, I went to a Catholic school, primary and secondary. In primary school, I had this teacher called Mrs. McCarty, and she was a very angry woman. So she liked to shout a lot, and I was quite a sensitive child, so I liked to cry a lot. And eventually it got so bad that I didn't want to go to school anymore. My mum had to go in and talk to the headmistress. It was a whole big thing. And to her credit, Mrs. McCarty, she did apologize to me, but in front of the whole class, like a bit of a power move, kind of the 90s equivalent of a Twitter apology. In front of the whole class, she was like, Catherine, that was my name before I became Cosmic Cat, by the way. She was like, Catherine, I'm sorry. Do you forgive me? And I said, no. To which she replied, well, you're no friend of Jesus. And this has just been one of those conversations that's sort of like rolled around and round in my head, usually in the early hours of the morning when I'm trying to get to sleep, way into adulthood, that conversation from when I was 7. And eventually how I resolved this was I wrote a song, and the song is basically what I would say to Mrs. McCarty if I could go back in time. So here we go. Mrs. McCarty, you think that you and Jesus Christ are tight just because you give out communion at Mass and pray to him every night. But between you and me, you're not on his level. You told us the fireworks were the work of the devil. Well, maybe that's just because you refuse to believe in the Big Bang. You shout a lot, throw chairs at children, and they don't even hit the target. You were aiming one for Kieran the other day, and it hit Charlotte. You're the reason I'll feel ashamed of my own sexuality when I'm older, and carry the guilt of things I never did wrong on my shoulders. Jesus loved the children, but you make children cry. I think in the end he'd say, you're not my friend. But then he'd be like, but you hear that Catherine, or Cosmic Cat she's known these days, I hear that red wine comes out of her vagina, so I think I know who I'm inviting to the office birthday party. I didn't do a sound check. Can you hear the ukulele?
Oh yeah, it's
Cool.
really clear actually, it's really good. Yeah.
Absolutely perfecto. So another thing I'm going to tell you about my time growing up in Northern Ireland is that I was a bit of a nerd. I know that might be hard to believe because I'm such a glamorous babe these days, but I was a bit of a nerd. Although in Northern Ireland, they don't use the word nerd, they say stew, which I don't know how that began or where that started from. It doesn't seem to make any sense. But the thing about that is it is an equal opportunities kind of insult because it comes with a hand signal. So even the deaf kids could be bullied. Funny thing about the word nerd, the etymology of it, it comes from 1940s slang nert, which comes from nut as in nutcase, which I think is kind of harsh because, you know, most nerds are actually very intelligent, competent people. And I know that on the face of it, it might look like the world is run by nerds, but the nerds are in the background, making the wheels go round. And of course, making stew. That's actually why in lockdown, the nerdy part of me, I decided to learn Esperanto, because although I was a nerd in school, I never felt like I belonged to a subculture because I wasn't a Lord of the Rings, Dungeons and Dragons kind of nerd. I even rejected Harry Potter because I was like, it's too mainstream. I was more of a Jane Austen novel reading, lover of the French language kind of nerd, and just never found my people. So I decided to learn Esperanto, which if you don't know is a constructed language from the 1800s, kind of a mixture of French and Spanish and English. And yeah, it just made me feel like I'd finally found my nerds. I found my stews. I could make a whole casserole. So another nerdy thing that I like to do is I like to have a go at the cryptic crossword. I don't think I've ever been able to actually finish one because they're just so difficult, but I felt so vindicated and really seen when Taylor Swift wrote a song about how difficult cryptic crosswords are. So I'm going to sing that for you now. Here we go. Crosswords are my favorite thing in newspapers or in magazines. See the boxes, fill them in with letters formulating answers to questions like name an actor, his first name's Mike. That's easy, it's Myers, right? Yeah, that fits. Then one day I dare to go where no one sane should ever go. A cryptic
crossword, all was well. I felt so smart till I thought, oh my God, 7 across, I'm at a complete loss. I don't know why I give a toss, but I do. So it's gonna take forever, or I'm gonna send it up in flames. I'm unhealthily obsessed with extremely complex word games. My vocabulary is great, but these clues are just insane. So I've got a blank space, baby. Help me fill it in. Yes, I'm talking to you, boy, or man, it doesn't really matter much. You seem intelligent and coy. You're wearing glasses, so at least there's a chance you're just like me. Lexical riddles fill you with glee, or drive you insane. Maybe that's just me. Yeah, I saw you from the other side of the library by the books about Hitler and genocide. Well, that's something that I'll overlook this time. Let's be friends, or else the pain will never end. I want to live my life again, 'cause honey, it's a nightmare when a crossword reveals your dreams. So it's gonna take forever, or I'll send my house up in flames. I'm unhealthily obsessed with extremely complex word games. My vocabulary is right, but these clues are just insane. So I've got a blank space, baby. Help me fill it in. Cryptic crosswords are mostly mental torture. Don't say I didn't warn you. Cryptic crosswords are mostly mental torture. Don't say I didn't warn you. So it's gonna take forever, or I'll send my house up in flames. I'm unhealthily obsessed with extremely complex word games. My vocabulary is great, but these clues are just insane. So I've got a blank space, baby. Help me fill it in. Just a quick a quick sip of water before I die. Cool. So grew up in Northern Ireland. We've covered that. That section's done now. When I turned 18, I left Northern Ireland and I went to university in Exeter, or Exeter, as it's known by the posh people. And yeah, I chose Exeter because it was as far away as I could possibly get from Northern Ireland without actually leaving the UK. And something that I loved about going to uni was that I had a roommate, a girl who actually shared the same room as me. And I loved this because I'm an only child, so I crave emotional intimacy. And it was like having a sister for the first time, and I absolutely loved it. You know, we were very different. You know, she came from a public school and I was me. And you know, we just got on like a house on fire, quite literally, actually, because once I almost set fire to the carpet whilst conducting a seance. But she did have one issue with me, and that was that sometimes I could be a little bit what's the word right in the tip of my tongue, I've forgotten it. Creepy. Yes, I can be a little bit creepy sometimes. So this is a song about me as a creepy roommate. I'm a creepy roommate. I watch my roommate while she sleeps. I gather her hair from the plug hole and put it in a locket for keeps. I'm a creepy roommate. I smell my roommate's clothes, and when she leaves the room, I always know where she goes. Am I just a bit too attached? Is it a crime to love someone that much? Should I give her some space? What if she finds someone to take my place? Oh, I'll make sure that never ever happens. I'm a creepy roommate. I do my makeup just like hers. I like all her posts on Facebook and wake up as soon as she stirs. I'm a creepy roommate. It's a problem that I cannot hide. I think it stems from my childhood when I watched Barney and it was scary, so I cried. Am I just a bit too attached? Is it a crime to love someone that much? Should I give her some space? What if she finds someone to take my place? Oh, I'll make sure that never ever happens. Here she comes. I better stop now. She doesn't know I write these songs about her. I'm creepy, yes, but we're all different, aren't we?
Hooray!
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Tony. Tony, the one and only. My super fan. Oh. So I went to uni in Exeter, like I said, and it was here that I expanded my mind, my social circle, and I became a raging alcoholic. There are, however, so there's a couple of things that I have to tell you about this. So I am sober now. I don't drink anymore. I've been sober for a few years because I like to play to my strength in this life, and I realized that I wasn't that good at drinking. Although I suppose in some ways you could say I am good at drinking. I'm so good at drinking. I got to retire early. I'm like the Bjorn Borg of drinking, except my last Grand Slam ended in a trip to hospital, being sick in my own handbag, because I'm classy that way. A couple of things that made it hard for me to accept that I have a problem were, okay, the fact that I was young, and it's generally accepted when you're young that you go a little bit crazy. I mean, if you go into any club, I mean, you can't at the moment, but when you're allowed to go back into clubs, listen to any like standard club party song, it's always along the lines of like, we're gonna go really hard tonight, gonna drink and party till we die, shoot heroin into our eyeballs, who cares about tomorrow? Another thing that made it difficult for me to accept that I was a problem is that I'm Irish. So any other person of any other nationality, you'd see them drinking excessively and you'd be like, mate, I think you've got a problem. But when you're Irish, you can be, you know, running down the street naked, grinding on your housemate's best friend, and they're just like, oh, isn't that nice? That's her culture. That's just part of her culture. Isn't that nice? So I wrote a little song that is an ode to the Irish alcoholic. So here we go. If you're an English alcoholic, sober up and see the light. But if you're Scottish or Irish, it's your birthright. I don't really know where the Welsh stand. I think they're more into drugs. But the Irish pride themselves on being fighting drunken thugs. Oh, fiddly-dee, have another Guinness on me. Forget about the fact that Seamus wrapped his car around a tree. On the road, don't say no, slancha, let the whiskey flow. Your liver's failing, but you're not to worry, that's how it goes. On St. George's Day, you might just have a quiet pint. St. Patrick, we get steaming day and night. He drove the snakes out of Ireland, we drove our morals out with drink. Because living up to stereotypes is easier than you'd think. Oh, fiddly, fiddly-dee, fiddly-dee, like leprechauns, we're wild and free, been drinking whiskey from the bottle since we were the age of 3. So fill up your cup and shut your mouth, from county down to county, like the drunkard and a waster is all you'll ever be. Cause if you're an Irish alcoholic, it is your destiny.
Yay!
It's a good one for St. Patrick's Day, especially that one.
Yeah.
Thankfully, though, it didn't have to be my destiny. You know, I'm one of the lucky Irish alcoholics that got sober and found another way to live. One of the things I love about being a sober alcoholic is that I get to go to conventions, which is basically where like lots of other recovering alcoholics get together and have a great, fun, sober time. And I went to one of these, especially for young people in Lithuania when I was a couple of years sober. And unfortunately, while I was there, regrettably, I did end up having a White Russian. I mean, it was just a simple lapse in judgment. It was so easy and convenient. He was right there in the bunk below me in the hostel. Yeah, that's the end of that story. That's the end of that story. Yeah, it's almost a humble brag, that one. Oh yes, okay, I'm going to tell you the benefits. I'm talking about the benefits here of being an alcoholic. So apart from being able to sleep with hot Russians at recovering alcoholic conventions, I also have a lifetime sponsorship deal with Jack Daniels.
Wow.
Ooh. And this song that I'm going to sing for you would not exist if I wasn't an alcoholic, because I wrote it in blackout. A quick background on this song. I was in my first year at uni. I decided that I would drink 2 bottles of wine before we went out, and perhaps not surprisingly, I didn't make it to my destination. My friends had to carry me home before I got to the club. But I think that was fate, really, because on the way back, we witnessed this man committing a gross act of public indecency. And how I decided to mete out my own form of cosmic justice was to just sing a song at him. It just burst forth from me spontaneously. That is a 100% true story. And the only downside was that I couldn't remember it because I was in a blackout. But my friend was there and she witnessed it and she told me about it the next day. So I have to thank my friend Izzy for that, for being able to remember the song. It's also kind of scary because I think about perhaps I've written loads of other great songs in blackout that no one will ever hear because there was no one there to witness them. But anyway, here we go. When I was walking home one day, after a night that was pretty crazy, I didn't even reach the club, just got to the cash machine. But on my return, I witnessed such a scene. A man urinating against a brick wall. So I sang, pissing against the wall is not that classy. Pissing against the wall is not that cool. You may have pissed against the wall, but you are not the king of all. And never will be. I accosted him in the street. That kind of thing just shouldn't happen in Exeter. I don't know why he couldn't just find a toilet. He tried to pull up his fly, but the zip was stuck. So I chased him away, singing, pissing against the wall gonna get anywhere if you're pissing against walls. So don't do it. Don't do it. Don't piss your life away. Don't do it. I like to think that one carries a strong message. Really, yeah, it's a public service announcement, that one.
Yeah.
That is a true story that happened exactly the way I described it. Most of my comedy is 100% true. But the funny thing is that years later, whenever I did come across a drunk man pissing against the wall, I would just sing that at him. And it was so funny to gauge their reactions, because they would always be like midstream, and then suddenly they're like, oh my God, what am I on? What did I take? Did somebody spike my drink? Like, why is someone singing at me? What's happening? Yeah, it's quite funny. So I urge you all to do that as well. The next time you see a drunk man pissing against a wall, or they don't even have to be drunk, just start singing that pissing against the wall. And yeah, it's great fun. So, this section, I need to go and grab something. Which I didn't, I have not prepared. So I will be one minuto.
Okay.
Please talk amongst yourselves.
Should try and get somebody else.
Yeah.
On the gig.
Oh, good. Glad to see you haven't gone anywhere.
I'm trying to get a friend to join as well.
My beautiful audience. So, oh my goodness, this is the challenge. When you're wearing, does anyone else relate to this? When you're wearing a headset, but you're also wearing cat ears, it's like, which one goes first? Which one goes first? So, when I wasn't drinking alcoholically at university, I was studying languages, French, Spanish, and Italian. Because I studied languages, I got to do, oh my God, can you tell how out of breath I am? I think I need to work out or something. I've literally just run up the stairs and back down. This is not good. Anyway, I did a year abroad, and I got to do 2 internships. I did one in Paris and I did one in Italy. And this was meant to be a time where I would gain some valuable work experience, become fluent in my languages, soak up the culture. But what I ended up doing was basically drinking too much, getting addicted to espresso, and falling in and out of love with various men of different nationalities. So I'm going to read you some extracts from my very embarrassing diary.
Okay.
So here we go. So this is from they're all from when I was in Italy. I went to Bologna. So this is from 22nd of September 2014. Dear diary, much to say, much to tell, much to say, but yet barely the words to say it. I am so tired, but I know I won't sleep if I don't release my thoughts. I have met a lovely Italian boy here in Bologna called Alessandro. He is beautiful, kind, caring, relaxed, and funny. I feel so at ease in his company, and for the first time, I'm not obsessed, in brackets, infatuated, with my love interest. On the contrary, I feel as though when he is with me, it is enough. I don't need to invent fantasy situations or wonder about what he is doing right now, because when we're together, I feel as though everything makes sense and I can be me. Then 2 days later, Alessandro is a cunt, a lily-livered scoundrel of the lowest order. Things didn't work out with him in the end. He came back from Naples a completely different person and seemed very distant. Then he made excuses to avoid seeing me and seems to prefer the company of these 2 girls whom he met on the trip. I'm over it now, though. I'm not going to take it personally because I think he is just one of those people who flits from one group of friends to another, otherwise known as a social whore. Of course, it was annoying to discover that a boy I really liked, who I thought I had a lot in common with, turned out to be a dick like the rest. But it was good that I made that discovery sooner rather than later. And that part smudged from my tears. No, it's not really, but it's more likely to be wine stained.
Okay. It's good you found out earlier rather than later anyway. So.
Yeah. So I wasn't brokenhearted for too long though. 1 month later, dear diary, I'm still having an amazing time in Bologna. I have a new love interest, a French guy called Teo, but we'll see how that goes. I was trying to think of a different name because I'm like, oh, I should probably say a different name, but I couldn't think of one. So Teo, if you're watching, it seems very unlikely, but you can have a good old laugh at this. It was unrequited. You never knew, but I got material out of you, so it's all good. 3 days later, I don't know if I'll see Teo this weekend. We both have such busy social lives, but our paths might cross at some point. Who knows? 1 day later, dear diary, fuck, I think I'm in love. 2 glasses of wine and I'm in love. Brackets, not with the wine, of course.
Okay.
And that is an example of the kind of thing you look out for if you're trying to figure out if you're an alcoholic or not. You know, look back over your old diaries, and if you say things like, I'm not in love with the wine, you probably are. That's a side note. So I continue. I keep hearing about the game. That is to say, the subtle hints and subliminal messages an average human being must use when flirting in order to procure a mate, but keep their heart unbroken. I hate games, but I don't want to mess things up with Teo. I find myself analysing everything too much and asking myself, should I say this? Should I say that? I'm just going to try and chill and maybe be more subtly obvious about my feelings. Brackets, the bullshit contradictory advice which my friends gave me. I actually woke up in Teo's apartment the other morning, but sadly, on the sofa. Okay, and then basically why things didn't work out with Teo was that I made a few friends when I was in Bologna, quite multicultural group of friends. I had an Indian friend, 2 girls from Belarus, Spanish friends, a couple of girls from Scotland, Irish. And I decided I'm going to host a multicultural picnic at my house, like a multicultural dinner party. And the premise of it was, okay, everyone bring a dish from your country and we'll have a big kind of buffet. I lived with this woman called Barbara. And again, I didn't plan a different name. That's her real name. But I mean, there's many Barbaras in Bologna, I'm sure. So, and you know, she was kind of crazy and fun, and she worked for the Polizia Municipale, which is like the Italian version of the community police service. And basically, Teo came round with all my other friends, this multicultural dinner, and he'd been having a little snoop around the apartment, and then he came out to me and he went, no, he didn't tell me he was gay. He came out of the door and he said, He said, Katie, why is there a picture of Mussolini in your living room? And I was like, what? There's a picture of Mussolini in the living room? Because I'm so unobservant. I'd lived there for 2 weeks and hadn't noticed that there was a massive poster of Mussolini in the living room.
Wow.
And basically he didn't believe me that I wasn't a fascist. Barbara was, though. And I asked her about it, and I was like, you know, it was a difficult kind of conversation to broach. You know, how do you broach that kind of conversation? How I did it was, so Barbara, I noticed there's a big poster of Mussolini with a speech under it. So are you a fan of Mussolini? And she was just like, yes, I am. Just like all of my family, apart from one sister who's very far left. And I was like, okay. And I didn't really know what to say from there. And then she was like, and look, I've got these in the kitchen. And in the kitchen, which I also hadn't noticed, she had these little ceramic busts of Mussolini's face. And yeah, we just kind of left it there. I didn't talk about it after that. It was kind of funny. I painted her a picture for Christmas as a Christmas present, and she like put it up in between like the busts of, it was a painting of a cat. She put it up in between like the busts of Mussolini's face on the wall.
Wow.
And coincidentally, I kind of ended up joining a communist group. Well, not politically. It was basically I ended up like painting a mural. I went to an art class, and it turned out that the art class was like part of a communist group, but you didn't have to be communist to join. So I was painting this mural in this place, and it was in a kind of like squatters building, and they used the proceeds from the art class to pay for the electricity and, you know, to help the people out who lived there. And she asked me one night where my art class was, and I couldn't think of anywhere else. As you can see, I'm not very good at coming up with alternative names on the spot. And I told her where I'd been going to the art class, and she was like wiping the kitchen surface at the time, and suddenly just stopped, and she was like, well, if it was me, I'd put a bomb under the whole thing, and then carried on wiping the kitchen surface furiously. What can I say? I mean, bombs just seem to follow me wherever I go.
How long were you in Bologna for?
I was in Bologna for about 5 months, and I was in Paris for 5 months. There aren't any jokes from the time I was in Paris, because it was just a pretty boring, depressing time of my life, where I just drank wine every day and worked on an Excel spreadsheet every day. There's no comedy in that, really, surprisingly. But yeah, so we're moving into the next section of the show. So brace yourselves. As you can probably tell already, if you haven't, you know, you're possibly a little bit slow, but I'm a little bit mental. I'm more up and down than the value of the pound. And when I graduated uni, I trained to be a journalist, and I ended up with a really good job. I was a showbiz journalist, a showbiz reporter for a national tabloid in London. And I know that sounds like really glamorous, but it actually wasn't. It was pretty boring most of the time. The most exciting thing that ever happened to me was the day I shared a lift with Ollie Murs. And I know what you're picturing, me dressed to the nines, getting in a limo with Ollie on our way to some red carpet event, when in reality, we just went from 12th floor to ground. I did meet one other celebrity when I was in London, and that was Olympic diver Tom Daley. As a side note, anyone who doesn't know that Tom Daley got into knitting in lockdown and has a whole knitting Instagram, it's just really random. I just felt I needed to tell you about that. But I saw Olympic diver Tom Daley. It wasn't in the office. It wasn't anything to do with work. I just saw him coming out of the tube. He actually asked me for directions, because there were some weird diversion going on in the tube station that day. And as I walked away from talking to him, I was hit by this instant pang of regret. And it wasn't, as you might expect, oh, I wish I'd asked him for an autograph. It was actually because he was immobilized, he was on crutches because he just had to drop out of the Commonwealth Games due to an injury. I had this thought, it was like, oh, he would have been really easy to kidnap. Think of that sweet ransom money. That would have been a good splash. That's a joke. That's a joke that only works if you understand journalism terminology, whereas a splash is a front cover. But anyway, I think we've had a good time so far, and you know, I want to keep the mood of the show light. I want to keep the energy high. So I'm going to sing you a little song now about the last time I tried to kill myself. I decided to kill myself, so I took 60 paracetamol and ran a bath to drown myself in it. But then my flatmate said, wait, I need a shower before I go to work. You're so inconsiderate. And I thought, no, you're inconsiderate. You're ruining my plans to die. So I drained the bath, left the flat in search of alcohol to speed things up. But I forgot to take my purse or my keys or any money at all. It was just my luck. I stole a bottle of water from a Tesco Express to sit on a park bench, take more paracetamol, and await my death. But then, after a few hours, I thought this is quite boring. I haven't yet seen a bright light or an angel calling. Maybe I'm going to hell, or maybe I'm already there. This is East London after all, so it's hard to tell. In the end, I rang an ambulance for myself. I hadn't yet changed my mind, but it was something to do. Wouldn't you be unnerved if the paramedics were singing along to the radio like, babe, I like the songs, girls' organs are failing, but let's just sing like there's nothing wrong. Then the reality hit me, that the song on the radio was the last I would ever hear, and it was Ollie Murs. Why does he haunt me so? With it like your moves, baby, 'cause I can't dance the way that you do. Yeah, and I thought I wish I'd taken something that would kill me faster. But anyway, I got to hospital. I was on a drip for 3 days. I made friends with a fellow alcoholic and a girl with no legs. I realized life's not so bad. I got a bright future ahead. But I can't do anything at all if I am dead. Woo!
Whoa.
So, if you haven't already been able to tell, this is the mental health section of the show. Thankfully, I did live to tell the tale, and I ended up actually going in the complete opposite direction because I went to the doctor, I got some antidepressants, but they actually worked too well. You might not think that's a thing, but it is a thing. Antidepressants can work too well. So basically, on one hand, I was like, my heart is as cold as stone, and the Thames doth entice me with her icy embrace. I should mention that when I'm depressed, I become possessed by the ghost of Alan Rickman.
Okay.
Darkness doth consume my soul. And then 2 weeks taking these tablets, I was like, I am a rainbow unicorn fairy goddess, and the universe lives inside of me, and it lives inside of you too. And together we have the ability to co-create our own realities and possibly the realities of others. And the limits of my imagination are boundless. But I didn't stop there. I just kept going into the stratosphere, into space with these tablets. And it was actually after I'd returned from the Recovering Alcoholics Convention in Lithuania that I hit the peak of this mania. And I tried to go into work and just carry about my normal day as normal, but it did not go to plan. So I have another song for you about that day. So it started out just like any other day, except I was singing at the top of my voice on the tube all the way, going up the escalator. It was the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you, to shine upon you. And I got some funny looks. Then I went in, my boss said, hey, Kathy, how was your holiday? And I said, well, I had sex with a Russian in a hostel toilet. We rode in a hot air balloon, I enjoyed it. And guess what that sexy little spy, he told me? We were right all along, the Russians there poisoning and hacking down a lion and to blame for everything. And she laughed nervously and said, well, I'm glad you had a good time. But then I thought, wait, something isn't right. Don't normally tell the office about my personal life. So I left work early to go to the doctor, but it wasn't straightforward to get there. I ended up in St. Paul's Cathedral, lying on the floor, staring at the ceiling, saying, I can see Jesus in the wall, I'm not joking. And said, is it just crack or what else you been smoking? Security made me leave, so I got on the tube, sang Danny Boy on the platform, and the crowd, they cheered. But when I got to East London, I still faced a conundrum. Cause these things meant nothing to me, time, space, or reality. Hypomania. Then I got to my doctor's appointment. I drew on a wall with a Sharpie and they were not happy. But I said, art is free, you're just a prisoner of conformity. Eventually I got to hospital. And they said, those pills are making you mad, so stop them, and you will be glad. But I was just sad. I came out of it, and I thought, well, this isn't funny. Where have all the colors gone, and why have I spent so much money? But at least I got to trip balls off my own brain chemicals. It was fun for a while, and I made some depressed people in London smile. So, the final section of the show, I'm going to talk a little bit about relationships. So, as you can imagine, being a little bit mental makes relationships a little bit difficult. I think I've had longer relationships with toothbrushes than I've had in a romantic sense. You know, I haven't been very lucky in love. And I think that's why God made me bisexual, because he made some kind of error and then he tried to fix it. You know, he tried to course correct. He was like, oh, well, she's going to have trouble. Better make her bisexual, then she can cast the net wide. But I do actually suffer from an as yet unrecognized disorder, which is My Fair Lady Posh Boy Fantasy Complex, or MFLPBFC for short. Basically what it means is that I'm attracted to really posh boys, but specifically posh boys who want to improve me in some way. So I'm equally attracted to them and also really irritated by them. There's a weird kind of love-hate dynamic going on. I had this ex-boyfriend, and he decided to take it upon himself to teach me how to speak properly. And it's not that I can't speak properly. You know, I'm from Northern Ireland, I have an accent. But he was doing the whole My Fair Lady thing, you know, like, oh, teach me how to use my cutlery properly. Teach me how to foxtrot. Teach me how to suck a dick without gagging. By Jove, she's got it. But I say certain things differently, which you find kind of tricky. You know, like in England, you say shower, I say shower. You say our, I say our. You say United Kingdom, I say, why did you invade and divide our country, initiating years of wanton and needless sectarianism and violence?
Yeah.
So I'm going to sing a little song now about breakups, because we all know that breakups aren't fun. And I think for, you know, there's loads of love songs. I mean, there's a lot of breakup songs too, but I felt like we needed a definitive anthem for a breakup. And yeah, that was equally sad and angry. So I feel like I've achieved that with this. Well, we'll see what you think. I think I've forgotten it.
Do your roller coaster song? That's really good as well. You know?
Yeah, I've forgotten my breakup song. Okay, I'm gonna sing a love song.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sing a love song. This it does have my love life does have a happy ending. I recently found love, and I was so happy when I heard this Ed Sheeran song, because it completely encapsulated exactly how I was feeling. So I'm gonna sing this for you. The club isn't the best place to find a lover, so at home. I've been busking recently, so I've been singing the actual real version of this, and now the two have got completely confused. So I'm gonna start that again.
All right.
The club isn't the best place for peace and quiet, so at home is where I stay. Me and my friends at the table drinking tea and asking about each other's days. Then you come over with a 2,000-piece jigsaw, and I think we're in for the long haul. We sit down, stop, toss a FM on the radio, and then we set to task, and we get into spreading all the pieces out. Start with the quarters, get those edges in right. Come now, follow my lead. Think we'll be doing it all night with flats, blues, greens, and grays. This puzzle forms at the truth, nail the way. But there are stars in your eyes, they're beautiful and wise. I'm in love with the shape of you. We stuck together. No, my heart is falling too. I'm in love with this jigsaw. Last night I was in your room, but you didn't see me, did you? Every day discovering new pieces, that we can fit in the puzzle. Why, 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 why? Cause love is a puzzle. You're mine, you're mine, you're mine, you're mine. Yes, you're an enigma. One weekend we let the story begin. You're going out on our first date. You were in pieces and all scrambled about the fact that I was late. But you didn't say anything, because you are a jigsaw, and you know that I'll complete you. Then we get in the taxi, kiss in the backseat, and the driver says, get out my taxi. Oh, why, 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 why? I'm in love with the jigsaw. You're mine, you're mine, you're mine, you're mine. Yes, you're an enigma, every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with the smell of glue. Cool. So we have come to the end. We've come to the end of the show. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've had a good time, Tony, and anyone else who may be watching on the replay when I put it up on YouTube. My breakup song is on Instagram, by the way, if anybody wants to watch it. I just had a total mind blank about the breakup song. But I'm going to end with a little song I wrote a few years ago. It became the title of the show. And yeah, it's about the importance of being yourself, which is really the message that I wanted to drive home with this show. I do hope that was clear. You might have just got the message that I'm mental, but really, that's the message. That's the message that I wanted to. The subtext, shall we say, the subtext. It would be like if I was writing my diary, it'd be one of those little things that's in brackets. So, yeah, here we go. When people tell me that I'm crazy, I already know, but I've got a lot of love to give and a lot of soul. What's the point of even living life if you can't let go? Don't you know that when you've had the life kicked out of you for so long, being mad is the only way to stay strong? Then you can make some brighter memories where nothing can go wrong. And if you hate me, I've got no time for you. I've got no time for you anymore. Well, I am dancing in the streets at night, singing in the sun, while I'm playing all my fears away. There is no need to run, just a taste of eccentricity that's too sour for some. But don't you know that when you've had the life kicked out of you for so long, being mad is the only way to stay strong? Then you can make some brighter memories where nothing can go wrong. And if you hate me, I've got no time for you. I've got no time for you anymore. And if I ran this world, we all would love cats. And to make people happy, we just wear crazy hats. And tomorrow would be just another day in the land of saying what you want to say, but only in a song. 'Cause when you've had the life kicked out of you for so long, being mad is the only way to stay strong. Then you can make some brighter memories where nothing can go wrong. And if you hate me, I've got no time for you. I've got no time for you anymore. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for listening, zooming in, logging on. I've been Cosmic Cat, and you've been an absolutely wonderful audience. Lots of love. Take care, and good night.
Take care, cats.
Hello there. Hey, it's Socrates. I bet you thought that I wouldn't be back again, but I am here. Well, that was nice, wasn't it? That was really nice. So that was Cosmic Cat. You can follow her if you'd like to keep a track of all of her things that she does. She's on Instagram at Cosmic Cat Comedy. She's on a Facebook, Cosmic Cat, and if you'd like to leave a wee donation for the show tonight, it is free. But if you'd like to leave a wee donation, there's the PayPal link in the chat there, paypal.me/Cafe Giddens. Right, it's time for me to get back in my drawer. Wishing you all a wonderful evening. Good night.
Yes.